everybody, welcome to this edition of the Sum Up. So glad you're with us. Hope you're having a great weekend. Before we get started on bell work, which is what we're talking about today, one thing I want to start doing is really giving a shout out to a teacher every time I do a Sum Up that's using things that we talk about, or that's just doing something awesome, because there is so much great stuff going on in our math classes that you guys as teachers might not have the opportunity to see other people's. So we're going to start that this week and start building on it as we go through. This week's shout out is going in the 8th grade hallway. If you haven't been down by like Molly Jones's room, there's posters up on the wall above the lockers where Molly had her kids solve equations, but instead of just having them solve it, she had them write what the property was over to the side. So like if the first step was distributing, they had to write distributive property, and so on all the way down. And they're awesome, and they're student made, and they're hung up on the wall looking great. So if you haven't been down there, check them out. I'm going to show some to you right now, then we're going to get started with bell work. Alright, so like we said before, we're talking about bell work this week, and whether you just need to spruce your bell work up or whether you need to up student engagement in your bell work, getting kids to come in and actually start on bell work. We're going to talk about 3 easy ways to make bell work just a little bit better. So before we start, there's 2 like basic things just to make sure we get cleared out and out of the way before we start. Then we'll get right into our 3 tips. So 2 quick things about bell work. First of all, just make sure we're going over the answers, because if a kid works on it but we don't go over the answers, how are they going to know if they got it right or wrong, or how are you going to know if they don't understand? So please make sure we're going over the answers. And then the second thing is just make sure that bell work is relevant. When Daryl Sessions was out a couple weeks ago, he talked about just in buildings in general that sometimes bell work seems like it's just a time filler for teachers to take attendance or do whatever, which is totally okay to use that time to take attendance. However, make sure it's relevant to either future learning or past learning or something that you're going over in class. Okay? So the first way to up your student engagement is to use something that's going to grab their attention, problems that are real life, and use pictures on your slides or whatever you're using to, again, make it more interesting. Think about us as adults. We like things that are interesting. If you think about what the kids wear, usually their outfits are super busy, lots of patterns, things like that nowadays. Things that grab their attention. So we need to cater to that to make them more interested in what we're doing. So if you're somebody that uses the warm-up out of the book, like what you see on the screen, that's totally okay. We can still make that more interesting than this page that you see. So this comes out of the Course 3 book, which is M2-8 over proportional relationships. And if you look, it's just 4 problems that's asking them to find the number that makes the ratios equivalent. So what you can do, and what I've done here, is just taken these 4 problems. They're still going to do these 4, but I'm going to make them a lot more interesting. So I've put them on a slide that has the top 2 problems are the exact same, but the bottom 2 problems I've changed to a word problem that has to do with the grocery store, whether that's Dillon's or Walmart. I've made the slide background a grocery store aisle. And when the kids first come in, we're going to take 30 seconds and we're going to have a quick conversation in a class vote. Where do you guys shop for groceries? Where do you go? Do you go to Walmart? Do you go to Dillon's? Do you go to Aldi's? Where do you go? Where do you buy your groceries from? Which one's the best? Which one's the cheapest, you think? And have that conversation to hook them in to bell work. So if we just put bell work up on the board and we're like, they come in, oh, do bell work from the slide, we're missing opportunities to really hook them and engage them. So it's as simple as making your slides a little more interesting. Again, you can use the warm-up like I did, just tweak it to fit something that works with real life that they can relate to and understand and be hooked into. The second way to improve your bell work is something that we have talked about probably every video somehow. So have students talking about the problem and explaining their thinking. If you want them working at a voice level 0 during bell work, I'm totally fine with that. I would always start with the first 2 minutes probably voice level 0, and then every time before I would go over an answer, give them a chance to talk about it first. So before you share an answer, let them talk about it with their partner or think about it, work it out, discuss it, what steps did they take, things like that. I'm going to use the same example bell work problem that I did up above with the grocery store. And all I would do is have another slide pop up that tells which problem my partners are going to explain. So if this was my class, I would put this up on the board and I'd say, okay, partner 1, your job is to explain your steps for questions 1 and 3. Partner 1 is doing 1 and 3. Partner 2, you're doing questions 2 and 4. You're going to alternate and go in order, 1, 2, 3, 4, but you're explaining how you solved it and what you got. If you get different answers, discuss it, try and figure out who's right. If you can't come to a conclusion, just put a question mark by it, and when we go over it as a class, you'll get that answer, be able to change it and decide who's right. But we can't be skipping opportunities to get them to talk about things and explain their thinking. If you're uncomfortable with it, the first couple times might be awkward. It's okay, it will get better, I promise you. The more that they dialogue and talk about math, the better they will be at it. So give them chances to talk about their bell work, talk about their thinking, explaining their work. Okay, that's number 2. All right, so the third easy way to up your bell work is to go back to your learning from yesterday or your closing from yesterday from the previous day. So here's an easy way to kind of hook them into bell work is before you even put bell work up. Let's say, again, my bell work was over proportional relationships, like the example I've been using. I would go back to whatever notes we took over that or whatever we worked on the previous day, and I'm going to have them do some sort of reading or sharing with each other. So an easy example would be is if we wrote a summary as a closing the previous day, then I'm starting class by having them read their summaries to their partner. This is going to help them think back to what they did yesterday and remember our learning. So then I'm going to put the slide up for bell work that goes and coincides with whatever we learned the previous day that they just reviewed, and that's going to hopefully help them have a better understanding of what we're doing for bell work. So a quick way to hook them is to make them go back to their learning, whatever the closing was the day before, a quick ride, an exit ticket, whatever it is, have them go back, review that, read it to their partner, go over it with their partner, put the bell work up, and then they're going to be working. Okay, so that is the third easy way to up your bell work. All right, guys, so that's our 3 easy ways to up your bell work engagement. Remember, number 1 was we want to make sure we're making it interesting, grab their attention, make it real life, and have a quick discussion about it to really hook them in. Number 2, like we always talk about, make sure you're giving them time to discuss it before you share the answer. So again, before an answer goes up, give them time to talk about it, okay? And then number 3, go back to your learning or your closing from the previous day, review it, reread that summary, read it to your partner, and then get into bell work once they've had that quick refresher. Remember, we always want to go over our bell work and we always want to make it relevant. You guys are so awesome. Keep up the great work. Thank you for all that you guys do and trying new things. Have an awesome Sunday, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another great week.